Hello, and how's it going? Brad Caldwell here as we bring you more high school fun. We're excited to be here today as we've got some playoff talk along with the nominees, the newest nominees that we've got here on the Arkansas Sports Network for um, for our Arkansas High School MVP. So, getting messages here, and we'll take your messages. Just make sure that you send them to us via YouTube or on Facebook here. We'd like to tell you, if you can, go to YouTube. It helps us. It helps us out a lot if you go to YouTube. So if you can, if you want to switch over to YouTube, that's great. It does help anyway. And Bill's helping me out on the YouTube side of things as far as comments go. So make sure that you are with us. Brad Caldwell again here, and I'm the general manager of the Arkansas Sports Network. If you've heard me on the call for the Carlisle and the Hazen ball games throughout the year, Carlisle the last two, and Hazen earlier in the season with Desark. So again, excited to be here and excited to be bringing you our newest nominations along with 3A and 4A talk. I know that people have been wanting to hear some 4A and 3A talk. Big ball games coming up in the semifinals. Those are going to be a lot of fun. I mean, you've got great matchups between Charleston and Rison, and you've got Boonville and Melbourne. Charleston at Rison, Charleston 12-1, Rison number 2 and 3A. They've moved up, been steady all year long. We tried to get a stream out at Rison against Dardanelle, wasn't able to do that. So being at Rison, probably not going to be able to get down there. Boonville and Melbourne, they have a stream or two streams actually that'll be there. So probably not going to be able to make those either. Unfortunately for us, which this is the biggest part of what we do, is our live streaming. Unfortunately, that's probably done for the year. Can't hear me. I'll fix that in just a second. Let me know if that works. Bill, are you hearing me on that side? Let me know. Bill said he could hear me just fine. So I don't know what's going on that side of things, but Chris Pennington, sorry about that, but apparently everybody can hear me. I don't know. I switched it out, though. Maybe you can now. As long as everything's going. Chris says good, loud and clear. Mike Moody, okay. Good deal. All right, so as I was saying, unfortunately for us, thing that we like to do the most is the live streaming of the ball games. And as far as football goes, we're going to be done. We'll be in the basketball gym soon. In fact, we've got one game coming up with the Clinton girls on December the 13th. We'll be doing the Clinton girls game against Bauxite. So we're looking forward to that. Toy toss game. That's going to be a lot of fun. Clinton girls, one of the teams to kind of watch out for in 3A. And Coach, I just totally slipped my mind here because I'm on camera, and that's what happens sometimes. I'll get it in just a second. Matthew Post, Coach Matthew Post, thank you. He umpired for me, but it's one of those things you get on camera and sometimes you just go nuts. Anyway, Coach Matthew Post has asked us to come out, but let's talk some 3A right now. First off, you got Rison and Charleston, and I want you to stay with us. Some of you might be looking for the newest nominees. We're going to get to those in just a minute, but let's talk 3A and 4A real quick. Rison and Charleston meet up. Man, these two are story programs. Looks like it's the fifth time that they've met for a chance at War Memorial Stadium. Rison comes at this one. They beat the overall number one team in 3A. They've been there for pretty much the whole year in Prescott. Bill said, did you just say we have a game Friday? No, we don't have a game Friday. December the 13th, Bill, we're going to be at Clinton with the basketball game. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have a game Friday night. That's the unfortunate part. But let's get back to Rising and Charleston. Blaine Dixon apparently took it down to the wire there for Rising and ended up intercepting the ball to end the game. Rising and Prescott was in a very exciting ball game there in the semifinals. Vernon Moore says, thanks for coming to Hazen. We appreciate you guys. Happy holidays. Thank you, Vernon. We appreciate you. We appreciate Carlisle and Hazen. You want to make sure that you're looking for nominees. I can tell you there's going to be one that y'all are going to be happy with. And but Charleston, Charleston's a team that's fairly close to where we're located at, and hadn't got a chance to see them. I know that one of the teams that we have locally, Pottsville, they were able to beat Pottsville in a scrimmage game this year, and I think that was a fairly close game. Charleston, 12-1 on the season, and I'm going to pull up the schedules for both of these while I'm at it. Charleston, is it fair to say they've been down, I guess, for Charleston standards over the last, 4 or 5 years? It seems like 4 or 5 years anyway. Charleston has just been one of those teams that has been in the mix for so long now. When they don't make the semifinals, it's almost like what happened to Charleston that year. And so here they are back in the semifinals. Quarterback Brandon Scott, a guy that I'm familiar with, watched him as a sophomore. Very, very good quarterback. We haven't had him nominated. There's some guys here that haven't been nominated. Charleston, we do have a nomination for Boonville. We'll talk about Boonville in just a second. Charleston's only loss was to Nashville, 27-19. Nashville in the semifinals. They were able to beat Elkins earlier in the year, 42-22. Beat their rival Ozark 34-20. They really own Ozark when it comes to – they've won many, many more games in that rivalry than Ozark has over the last 10 years or so. At least it seems that way. And then played the rival Boonville. That's one that's going to be an interesting look at things because Boonville had several starters out that game. Charleston rolled in that game, 42-14 in that ball game. And then they've gotten into the playoffs, and they've won against Lavaca, and they got Rising this weekend at Rising. They'd be able to beat Gurdon, Centerpoint, and Newport, and none of those games were close. They have been phenomenal this year, just beating people, left and right, 49-7, 48-0, 57-0. Mansfield 42-7, Cedarville 48-6. It hadn't been close since the loss to Nashville for the most part. Rising, like I said, they were able to beat Dardanelle this year. It was a team that we have in our local area, in our local live streams. We'll get to that in just a minute, Bill. But Rising's a team that nobody really kind of thought, well, they're really a contender. Now, don't get me wrong, they hung around top 5 all year long. But, Clay Toddy has been down there, 20 years now, 21, 22, 23 years, maybe something like that. He's been fantastic there. Rising is always in the mix, kind of like Charleston. Rising has won some closer ball games this year. Prescott by 5, Bismarck by 11, beat Drew Central, Barton 29-16, Lakeside 49-34, and then again Dardanelle. That was a game that they were up 30-0 at the half. Dardanelle came back and made it a 2-point ball game, and then they were able to overcome. They've actually played Bismarck twice, beat Bismarck 34-31 on September the 2nd, and then beat Dumas 31-12. Don't get back ranked. He's back on YouTube. He says, "Hi, I'm here again." He says, "I think Melbourne has it against Boonville. Sounds like a certain 2A team I won't specify on. I'm just passing them along. Respond when you want." Well, we appreciate that. And I'm looking over here on the Facebook side of things. 9 starters, says Jordan, for that. Let's see here. Bison, thank you for live streaming our game. We appreciate you guys so much, and we're looking forward to that 2A ball game. We'll try to have somebody over there. I need to make a phone call about that tomorrow if we can, to have somebody at that ball game Friday at 2 p.m. on that ball game. But we're back to the semifinals in 3A. Let's go to the semifinal between Boonville and Melbourne. Dax Goff, if you saw, Dax Goff was a guy that we nominated for state MVP. We're going to get to the MVPs that we have nominated since we had our last live stream, and we're going to get to a couple of our newest guys that we haven't released yet. So stay tuned for that. But Dax Goff, he became the first player in Boonville history to rush for 2,000 yards in the season after a 189-yard effort in a 35-20 win over Osceola. Thanks to Hootens for that. He broke a 44-year mark with Ronnie Littleton. Melbourne is playing just its 10th season of football. That's really good. Here you are in the semifinals. They beat Glen Rose by 1 and have a record-setting 13 wins. Trey Wren and Carter Bray are two guys that we're looking at as well on our nominees. Those guys are right up there, and we're going to be looking at that pretty soon on them. This will be Boonville's third consecutive road game, and Melbourne is going to face a Flexbone team for the first time this year. That's a long trip for Boonville. Send Jim Moody, kickoff at 12:10 on Friday. That's a long trip for Boonville. Boonville did already make that trip, to Eastern Arkansas when they beat Osceola this week or last Friday night. So being on the road is not something that's going to scare them. And again, something very interesting, and we can't say that it's going to happen or not. Rising Melbourne could win the ball game, but you could have a similar situation in the 3A with Charleston and Boonville just being just a few miles apart. So anyway, that's really, really good games there. In the 4A, let's go over there real quick. That last week, Elkins and Nashville might have played the game of the year, and Nashville won on a 2-point conversion, winning 63-62. They travel to Malvern. Malvern has already beaten Nashville once this year. And, of course, it's hard to beat a good team twice. Nashville is quarterbacked by Sloan Perrin. Sloan Perrin is also an MVP candidate, one of our official nominees. Also, you're going to see in that game Jalen Dupree, another MVP nominee. We'll get to them in just a minute. Malvern won by 2 touchdowns the first time and that they played, and Nashville hasn't been to the semifinals since 2015. That's hard to believe. Nashville been such a powerhouse for so long. 7 years is the first time since they've been in the final or semifinals. Arkadelphia and Harding Academy, that's right. They're going to be a crazy, crazy game. Don't Get Back Ranked says that neither of the 2A finalists has actually won a state championship ever. That's actually not true. Carlisle has won them. Carlisle's won state championships before. This is their 7th appearance in the state championship. But let's talk about 4A here. Sloan Perrin's a guy, like I said, that has been a guy that's been nominated for us. Todrick Watson caught a 76-yard TD pass with 6 seconds left and then ran in the 2-point conversion. Now, you got to talk about heartbreak at Elkins there. When Nashville was able to come through with that win. Perrin passed for 191 and 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball 26 times for 176 and 2 touchdowns against Elkins. Junior Trey Hopkins ran 32 times for 273 and 3 touchdowns. There's a lot of touchdowns to go around when you score 63. We got Chelsea McSpadden. Jefferson says, go scrap. And Sean Bledsaw, hey, man, I remember you. He said he enjoyed us coming for the live stream. We appreciate visiting with you. That was a fun one there at against Harding Academy. That was fun to be there. Sean, thanks for commenting there. Anyway, back to that 4A matchup there between Malvern and Nashville. Cedric Simmons, I tell you what, Cedric Simmons is a guy that hasn't been nominated yet. Jalen Dupree's kind of been the guy. He's been the guy that has carried that offense. Simmons was a guy that was talked about quite a bit as a sophomore. Even got an offer from Kansas with the former offensive coordinator there. His name slips me. Trying to think his name now, and I should be able to get that. The former offensive coordinator at Tech. I can't believe I've forgotten his name. I'm getting it here in just a second. And when it comes to me, anyway, he gave an offer while he was at Kansas, and that was when Les Miles was at Kansas. Brent Dearman, there we go. And he lived in Russellville, right across the street from guy I know. Anyway, he's I believe he's at Florida Atlantic now. And anyway, I don't know what offer Simmons has. Maybe somebody can tell me what the offers are. But he's a guy that had an offer as a sophomore. I don't know where he's at there, but he's a dynamic player. I guess getting around to that. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. 2 4A7 rivals. You know, again, you're trying to beat a team for the first or the second time in a year, a good team, with a Malvern trying to do that with the Scrappers. Dylan Carradine is a guy that we called his name a lot when Ashdown played Malvern, and Malvern won big there. And then junior Angel Perez led the Leopards with 10 tackles and 1 interception. On the Harding Academy Arkadelphia side, that's a game that a lot of people have been looking forward to. You're talking about the defending 3A champs against probably the best team in 4A in quite a while with Arkadelphia. Last year, they lost to Shiloh Christian in the quarterfinals 57-54. It looked like they were going to win that ball game. Shiloh came out and pulled it out at the end. Don't Get Back Ranked says Harding hasn't skipped a beat since moving to from 3A. Says, I think we have this match, or they have this matchup, but Arkadelphia most definitely has some tricks for this game. And then he said he's been one of the most dynamic teams I've seen in the Arkansas game. Cedric is definitely a candidate if he's nominated. Cedric Simmons is who he's talking about there. Let's talk about a guy that might be nominated. We've got like 15 nominations that are official. Okay, so I'm still putting out these nominations as we go. I'm going to get to some new ones here in just a moment. But before I do that, let's talk about Arkadelphia. Arkadelphia led Rivercrest 21-13 at the half. They ended up winning that ball game, I believe, 48 or 49-13. Donovan Witten finished with 14 of 23 for 182 and 5 touchdowns. D'Angelo Buckley, 8 rushes, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Sophomore Kyle Reed, 11 for 80. Sophomore Jaquavis Purifoy had 2 touchdown passes. My goodness. I mean, that's a heck of a day for everybody involved. Sophomore Michael Brownlee led the Badgers in with 10 tackles. They've just got something good going on down there. They just continue to put them out there. Harding Academy has got their own nominee with Owen Miller, who's just a sophomore. He threw for 256 and 3 touchdowns, ran for a TD. I'm going to pull up their schedules, by the way. Let me do that as well. Do that real quick here. This is live. You got to love the live. You don't have time to just be off camera. You just do it right then and there. So that's what we're doing right here. I'm going to pull up the other schedule here. We saw Harding Academy beat Boonville earlier this year. That wasn't a close game, unfortunately. Says Chelsea, McSpadden, Jefferson. I just love how 3 out of the 4 left are in the same conference. That's true, and that's 4A7 has been a phenomenal conference. But I'll tell you right now, Arkadelphia has got probably their stiffest test that they've had since they played Shiloh Christian last year. That this Harding Academy bunch is good. They've haven't missed a beat. They beat 5A Valley View, who ended up winning their conference 51-35. I think they even advanced one round in the playoffs. Easily beat Harding Academy, and Boonville beat Stuttgart easily. Lone Oak gave them a game, 31-21. Bald Knob, 41-12. Riverview, 44-6. Heber Springs, 39-13. 42-14 on Cave City, and 45-7 with DeWitt. And then they beat McGee last week. McGee's a hard-nosed team. That was an easy win there. So, big thing for Harding Academy is they end up with the home game. That's a big deal there. Big deal for Harding Academy. So, anyway, that's what we got into 3A and 4A. It's going to be a fun weekend. You've got 2A, 5A, 6A, 7A. They are they're in the finals. Big matchups there, obviously. The final matchups of the season. Of course, the 2A we talked about, Carlisle and Hazen. Those two teams just 10 miles apart. That's a really fun rivalry there that they're meeting in the finals. That's a fun deal for sure. And then you got in the 5A, you got Parkview and Shiloh. We've done some Parkview games. I think we did 2 this year. Maybe a third one. I think we've done a third one there. Parkview is a team that we've looked at all year long as a team that was going to be in the finals. Shiloh moves up from 4A to 5A, and they get into the finals. Greenwood and Pulaski Academy, that's a huge one. That's a lot of fun. Those two teams battled it out earlier in the regular season, 2 conference foes, and Greenwood was able to pull it out. Bryant and Bentonville's a team, or a game, I should say, that we've been waiting on for a long time. Bentonville has never been able to hold up their end of the bargain, but they do this time. It's going to be a fun one there in the 7A, and then you've got your 3A, 4A semifinals. So let me get to some official announcements for our nominees. We now have 9 official nominees, and we've put out 7, so we've got 2 new ones that we're going to put out right now. So let's go back and review real quick. Dizzy Dean of Elkins becomes our first nominee. He had a fantastic year at Elkins, 2,844 yards and 41 touchdowns. Second nominee, Jason Sullivan, 233 carries, 2,727 yards and 44 touchdowns. Those 2 were official on Sunday night. Owen Miller comes out on Monday. Owen, fantastic year for the Harding Academy Wildcats, 30,423 total yards, 38 touchdowns. Sloan Perrin, we put him out. He was our lunchtime drop on Monday. Sloan, 192 carries, and then he was 127 of 227 passing, 3,204 total offense, and 37 touchdowns. Our 5th MVP was Dax Goff of Boonville. Goff has 2,081 yards rushing on 133 carries. That's a hefty yards per carry deal. And on our 6th MVP nominee, got Jalen Dupree of Malvern. Jalen Dupree has been, he's been in the mix quite a bit throughout the year. If you've watched our primetime performers, he's made it several times. He's had a really phenomenal year. This afternoon, we released this one right here. Connor Baker, state's overall rushing touchdown leader with 45 touchdowns. This year, he had 3,078 yards of total offense, 45 touchdowns. He was awesome on defense as well. Really a massive big-time pickup there for Pocahontas. He was a phenomenal player for Pocahontas this year. Went out at halftime of that game against Nashville, and from what I was told today by his coach, they were up 7-0 when he went out. They ended up losing that ball game 31-7. If they don't say valuable, I don't know what is. So, drum roll, please. We've got 2 new nominations here. The first nomination is Deshaun Chairs of the Elkins Elks. He had 177 carries, 2,106 total yards and 31 touchdowns. I'll tell you right now, if you can find me a faster running back in the state, I'd love to see it because, I mean, the kid is speed. We watched him a couple times this year. He really had a big game against Ozark for what ended up being for the 4A1 championship, and just speed, just pure speed coming out of the backfield there. Deshaun Chairs is a fantastic player, still a junior. He and Dizzy Dean both are juniors, so that's a big time pickup. So finally, I'm going to give my last drum roll as we are going to officially nominate Dennis Gaines. Dennis Gaines gets a nomination from East Poinsett County, 367 carries, 3,232 yards rushing, and 44 touchdowns. Gaines, unbelievable this year. We'll put these out officially here, but those two are your newest nominations for state MVP, and we've still got many more. I've actually got a list that are official. Don't want to give them away though. We'll continue to put them out. I've got them right here, looking at them right now. And we've got others, and let me just count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We've got at least 16 right now that are official. Don't Get Back Ranked says this guy was a pain for our defense to keep back. Couldn't do nothing until the second quarter. So he's a fantastic guy. Aaron Weatherford joining us. Hey, man, appreciate you joining us here on the live stream. Appreciate the comment and the compliment. And Mike Moody says, JJ the Bull Sullivan. So, guys, we've got, like I said, MVP nominees out there. We've got 9 official. I've got at least 16 here. We're going to have more. So let me just go over this with you real quick about how all of this is going to work again. All right, so first off, we're going to be releasing nominees all the way through the week, okay? I'm cutting it off Thursday as far as taking nominations, okay? We'll take everybody that we have throughout the rest. So it's going to take me a little bit just to get caught up with everybody. I've released those 2. We'll probably release at least one more this week. Today. We'll release one more, and then we'll release several throughout tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. So just because I haven't released them doesn't mean that they're not official. Now, with that being said, we have a bunch of small school guys. We don't have anything 5A or up. I believe I have one that has come in that is under consideration for 5A. That's it. This is open to everybody, and I know that the Arkansas High School Sports Network kind of caters to the small school. I get it. But we're looking for nominations from everybody. BK Robertson says, #Badger Nation. I'll tell you what, BK, looking forward to that semifinal ball game. I will be watching from Branson. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to be in Branson this weekend, so I'll be watching. I'll tell you what, guys, my heart breaks for the fact that we can't be at a semifinal. We were at the 2A semifinals. I would love to be at a 3A semifinal. Would absolutely love it. But unfortunately, it just isn't going to happen. Or 4A semifinal. We were talking to one of the teams. I can't go into that, but we were talking to one of them, but they didn't win. So, unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. So, I have to say it's not cool, but we'll be watching. We'll be keeping up with it. Who's playing in the 4A state championship next week, in your opinion? Kayla Miley says, will you be streaming the Parkview game tonight? No, Kayla, we won't be streaming Parkview tonight. We'll get to basketball shortly. We kind of kept this week open for football, kind of hoping that we would be at a football game. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be there. So, we get to the playoffs. Everybody's got live streams. Arkadelphia, by the way, y'all have got a fantastic live stream. Probably the best on-campus live stream I've seen. I don't know about everybody else, but boy, I tell you what, Arkadelphia's got a class one. So it's just hard. Rising, the game at Rising, we possibly could have fit into that one, but really, there just isn't enough internet service down there to do that one. So anyway, we're not going to be able to be there. All right, so who am I picking for a championship next week? Boy, that one's a tough question. So you want me to give predictions? I guess I will, just because I can. So let me start in the 3A. All right, so in the 3A, now this is just, got to pick somebody, right? Kayla, I don't know where you can watch. Maybe the AAA website, possibly. All right, so let me give you 3A predictions here. I'm going to go with Charleston. I'm going to go with the two road teams. I'm going to go with Charleston. I'm going to go with Boonville. If you look at Charleston's scores throughout, they've been dominant. And, boy, it just, when you look at it, I know they're at Rising. I know that's going to be tough. And I know there's somebody saying, wait a minute. You can't pick against the home team. But I'm going to take Charleston just because of the scores that I've seen. I'm taking Boonville at Melbourne. I think Boonville, they're 11-2 on the year. The only two losses they have is to Charleston. They set out several starters that night, and then against Harding Academy. Boonville was the preseason number one team in 3A, and they were there for a reason. I think they're full strength. I think they've got a chance to go up to Melbourne 13-0. Wow, what a great year Melbourne's had, and they've got a good chance. 4A, I'm going to go with Arkadelphia, and I'm going with Malvern. Nashville's playing well. They got a chance to win that ball game. It's going to be a good ball game at Malvern. It's going to be a tough ball game for Malvern just because they've had to beat Nashville twice, a very good football team. I think Nashville might be playing their best football. But Malvern is very physical up front. The run game there, I wonder if they can control the game with their run game. I'm going to go with Malvern on that one. Arkadelphia and Harding Academy, I mean, my goodness. This is like the clash of two titans here. You're talking about two teams that are they're just two of the best in the state. I mean, you could line up those two teams against 5A teams and I mean even 6A teams, and they're going to hold their own and win some of those games. But boy, the way Arkadelphia beat Malvern earlier this year, I mean I saw Malvern against Ashdown. There we go. Against Ashdown, and I was like, my gosh, man, Malvern's very good. And then you look at Arkadelphia, and they just manhandled Malvern. I don't know. I got to go with Arkadelphia on that one. So I'm going with it's all 7-4A matchup, Arkadelphia and Malvern. But it is not going to surprise me if I get it the other way or half of it. I'm just interested to see who wins because it's going to be two awesome matchups there. Hazen going to win it all this week in the state championship. Wyatt Buchanan, the ICC Cougars 8-man. Congratulations to ICC. I believe it's their first year ever. Am I mistaken there, Matt? First year ever for them to play football, and they're in the 8-man championship. Since I'm giving you predictions, I might as well give you my predictions in the 7A through 2A. I'm going to go with Bryant 7A. Until somebody beats them, you got to be able to prove it. 6A, I'm going to go with Pulaski Academy just because it's going to be hard for Greenwood to win that one twice. 5A, I'm going with Parkview over Shiloh because of the athletes. And then in 4A, we already gave that. In 3A, we already gave that. In 2A, I'm going to go with Hazen. I'm going to go with Hazen. That's my my prediction there. So anyway, Matt, thank you for that. Okay, so let me throw this out there for the MVP. Again, we're releasing MVPs again throughout the week. one of the things that we are possibly going to do is we're going to leave a finalist open for the fans to share your favorite. So you get the most shares, you get to be in the finals. This is going to be a voting process. I've talked to a few people throughout the state already. They're going to vote on this. We're going to vote as Arkansas High School Sports Network. We're going to vote on those guys. We're probably going to pare it down. I think we're going to have enough finalists to go 10, and then we're going to cut it from 10 to our 5 finalists, and that'll be in the middle of next week, and then we'll go from 5 to the winner. So, anyway, with that said, if you've got MVP nominations, let us know. Here's what we need for those nominations. We need a stats. We need those, okay? We need pictures. I need a couple pictures. And guys, I'll if you look at our graphics, some of these graphics are determined by how many good pictures we can find. What day and time is 3A-4A championship? I do not know that right now. I'm not sure that it is even set just yet. Bill, do you get a vote? Yes. Yes, you get a vote. You're a part of this. Anyway, we're still taking nominations, so don't forget that till Thursday. So we'll probably come live again. Oh, running out of time because I'm going to Branson. I'll probably come live again tomorrow, and we'll throw out our nominations. And again, we're cutting off Thursday at midnight. We're cutting it off. I don't care what classification it is. I don't care how many offers they've got. I want to know who had the best season. Wins and losses do factor into that. But at the end of the day, I want to know who had the best season in the state of Arkansas and who helped their team the most. That's who the MVP is. Go Hornets, perfect season, says don't get back ranked. Ruth Corley says go Hazen. And Anthony Clayton says Charleston Tigers. So, anyway, we will see what happens. Well, guys, thank you for joining us here on this live stream. Again, we'll come back live tomorrow. We'll talk about nominations again. We'll talk about our playoffs maybe once again. We really need to get some 5A, 6A, 7A interest in this. But, again, I don't care if you play at Bentonville. I don't care if you play at Hazen. All I care about is who was very important to their team, who had great stats, whose team went far. That's basically where we're looking at for now. So, anyway, guys, thank you again for joining us here on this live stream. We appreciate every one of you. Thanks to D3 Auto Sales for making this possible. D3 Auto Sales, guys, give them a shout out there. This is the D3 Auto Sales Arkansas High School Football Most Valuable Player Trophy. So don't forget that. D3 Auto Sales, guys, if you just go and mention our names, if you're looking to buy a car, you can mention them or mention the Arkansas Sports Network and you'll get $500 off. That's free money. All you got to do is go over there. They're the largest independent auto dealer in the state of Arkansas. Go visit them. They make this possible for this MVP trophy that we're giving out. Jason Carlisle is taking this Friday. All right. Well, guys, thank you for joining us here. And as we wrap things up here on the Arkansas High School Sports Network, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you later. Again, make sure you get your nominations in. If you haven't already, we're still taking nominations. I've got, like I said, about 16 official nominations. We're going to continue to put those out as we continue to go on throughout the week. Thursday at midnight is our cutoff for the Arkansas High School MVP, D3 Auto Sales Arkansas High School MVP, presented to you by the Arkansas Sports Network. And actually be able to show you the trophy here pretty soon. So, anyway, guys, we appreciate you joining us here on the Arkansas Sports Network, Arkansas High School Sports Network, and we will see you again very, very soon.